Hello and welcome everybody. We are so excited for this espresso training today with Jenny. How you doing today, Jenny?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Well, we're going to do a deep dive with Cruising Power straight into the espresso training. And before we get started, if you guys have any questions, we will have Q&A at the end, so put those in chat at any time, as well as this is recorded, so you can go back and view this as many times as you like at your leisure in the trainings tab of the Travel Cafe website. Well, without further ado, we're so excited. Jenny, let's get started.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amanda, for this wonderful welcome. I'm happy to be here. My name is Jenny Barnett, and I'm your automation specialist. If you have any questions, you can always message me directly to espressotraining@rccl.com. So let's start with step one. Once you log into Cruising Power, you'll see this page. If you scroll down, this widget will come up. This widget has espresso booking. You can certainly make a booking from this widget, but my preferred method of doing or creating a booking is through uh, the Espresso tool. So on the left-hand side, you can see that there's a little calendar, and that's our Espresso tool. If you hover on it or click that tool, it will open up this page where you can either start an individual reservation, start a group, or find a flight. So here we need start individual reservation to move on to the next step. So once you click on that, you will open up a page where you can search for a ship and sail date. So here on the very top, you'll see the brands. You can do Celebrity or Royal Caribbean. If you don't specify, it's going to give you a mixture of both brands. And then you can select, if you have a ship in mind, you can put the ship name. You can select the itinerary that you'd like to go on, and then the date. Now, if you have a specific date in mind, for example, let's say December 2027 or December 25, 2027, then the search will probably give you one or two results. If you don't want that and you'd like a date range, so you simply select the show date range. When you select the show date range, it will open up the calendar. And the calendar, of course, here, if you look at the top, there's the years on the very top. You can select the year that you want, and anything that's highlighted in white, that means we have a sailing leaving on that day or coming back on that day. And you can click on it to move on to the next step. Now, again, here, going back to the chart, make sure that you have the right currency. Uh, if you don't touch it, it will stay. The default is US dollars. But let's say, for example, you have and somebody has created a booking in Canadian dollars, then it becomes problematic if you wanted to move it to a group shell because the currency has to match. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Now, once you select the currency, you scroll down and you'll see this blue bar on top. The blue bar on top, this is your room planner. And why we call it the room planner is that let's say you have a guest that cannot decide between a suite or a balcony or an interior, and they want to compare prices. You can simply add another room, name it. Here you can see the label is mom's room. I've put it as a double occupancy. But if you wanted to add more, you can simply add up to 4 and compare between them. Now, this tool will also come in handy if you had, let's say, friends traveling together and they want to be on the same sailing, but one of them has two, one of them has single occupancy, one has, they want a room for 5. Just make sure that you add the rooms, label them, so you can easily toggle between them. Now, next thing you do here is once you labeled it, you can decide whether you want an accessible stateroom or connecting stateroom. Now here, I need to remind you that if you wanted to see rooms for 5, you have to put the occupancy as 4. Otherwise, this will not open up for you. and you will not be able to access staterooms for 5. Going down on the page, you can enter the loyalty number manually. If you're not sure about the loyalty number, clicking on the magnifying glass will open up this box for you where you can put first and last name and date of birth to pull up the loyalty information. And this works great with Celebrity or Royal Caribbean. And if you select Guest Profile and Others, you will see this. Now, this is a fantastic tool. We get a lot of guests asking, well, what does it mean that I'm gold? What does it mean that I'm emerald? What does it mean I'm diamond? You can easily access this, and you can see there's a little box that you can click on. If you click on any of those 2 boxes, it will open up a PDF file, and the PDF file will show you all the information, whether you have reciprocal benefits, whether you have loyalty benefits, it will all show up for you. So it makes your life much easier. And of course, if you go back here and you wanted to enter the promo code manually, you can. You can also click on the magnifying glass to enter the promo information or enter the guest information, because sometimes we get targeted promotions, and you should be able to pull up all the information related to the sailing. And of course, don't forget the promotional qualifiers. Now, the promotional qualifiers are available on a lot of the sailings, but not all sailings. So keep that in mind. Make sure you add the age. Make sure if you have military, we need to honor them, and we add that. And of course, the residency is another important factor that we need to add here, because they might get a nice discount. Once you complete the information, now, of course, this is not necessary to fill any of the information, but the more information you have, the better the results. So here you simply click on search on the bottom, and you can see here it gave me 121 sailings. It's like, oh my, what do I do with this? The easiest thing to do here, you can see those little circles. You can move them. So you could narrow down the search, because this is giving you minimum $117 to $11,963. Of course, this is all per person. So if you wanted to narrow this down, just move the circle and it will give you a smaller amount of sailings. You can change any of the parameters here on the left-hand side, and that should narrow down the sail. Anything you see in blue is a hyperlink. So if you click on it, it will open up another window. So here, for example, under date, it will give you product details, and it will give you more information about the sailing, about the date, what's going on. If you click on the ship, you're going to get the deck plans, you get the ship detail, see if you like it, maybe your guest wants it or not want it, however you want to deal with that. And of course, you have here minimum prices. Those are the prices. If you click on it, you will see what promotions are applied and what we have in terms of what available categories we have here. Again, a little reminder here. When you're quoting your guest, do not quote from this page, because this is the baseline price and it's per person, and taxes, of course, are not added here. So you don't want to quote from this page. And what you can do is, from this column where you see the arrow pointing down, you can select 3 to compare. They can be 1 from Celebrity, you can do 2 from Royal, or vice versa. However, as long as you have 3 to compare. You get the comparison chart, unless if you select a specific sailing, you will not get this. So you'll skip this altogether and you'll go to categories. So here in the sailing comparison, you'll see that on the very top, we have the ship name and the itinerary. We have the prices from, and then you have the dining. Now, you might ask, it's like, on, the sailing is, maybe a year from now. Why do we care about dining? You do care about dining because let's say you have somebody that's diabetic that has to eat at 5 or as close to 5 as possible. In that case, if the early dining is closed, then there's no point booking them on that cruise. If you scroll down this page, you will see that it will give you the itinerary And of course, on the bottom, at this stage, you can either send it as an e-quote or you can select the sailing to make the booking. This is beautiful. So if you look at the next page on the very top, we have a guide. Okay, and this guide will move with you. And of course, the room planner will move on with you. And it will tell you exactly where you're at. So if you're lost and you don't know how to or where you are in the process, just look at the top of the page. It shows you here it's pending. Nothing has happened yet. And all the information is available for you. So you can see that we have a stateroom pending with 2 adults, and there's a little trash can here in the middle of the square. If you decide you don't want this, you can simply click on the trash can to eliminate this room and start over again, but it will take you, of course, you're going to have to start the process again. Here on the top right, you'll see that it will give you the price. Since we haven't selected a category, there is no price to quote. They're just the taxes. On the bottom side, or on where the arrow is pointing, you can see different dates. And, so what's happening, there's different prices too. If you decide, or if your guest is flexible and you want to shop a better price, this is 1,539, this is 2,166 starting price. You can toggle between them. Those are exactly the same itineraries on different dates. So you can play with this and get your client the best price. And of course, here there is a box that's modify search. You can always go back and modify the search if you don't like this and move on. If you click on view promotions, that will open up the promotions page. The promotions page will have all the promotions listed, whether it's celebrity, whether it's Royal Caribbean, and you'll be able to select up to 2 promotions to compare. And what it will give you the price with this promotion or the other promotion alongside your booking. Now, that is particularly important because when you're doing celebrity, sometimes you have the all perks or no perks. The system automatically gives you the best price, so it will give you a no perk price. And if you wanted to add the all perks, you'll have to manually add it or manually price it. Now, looking at this, I want you to look at the top of the page. The top of the page, if you wanted to add insurance gratuities, often people forget or they don't look at this. So you can always go back and add the insurance and gratuities on top. Then if you look at the category type, you can narrow down the categories that you want to look at, whether you want to look at everything or, the suites, the balconies, outside or interior, or you want to look at guarantee rooms or available stateroom. There's no point at looking at closed staterooms because you won't be able to book them. And of course, here is the offer type again, in case you wanted to take a look at what offers are available. Now, we need to select the category. So here we are, we're selecting the category, and we need to find something that doesn't say closed. So here I have everything is in available. We have the owner's suite, we have 1 bedroom, and so on. Now, if you look at the writing, it's all in blue. So they're hyperlinked. And again, if we click on them, we get more information. If you click on the promos, you'll get, again, more information on the promotions. And of course, we need to find something that has availability of more than 0. So here, if you take a look at this column, we have guarantee 10 plus, and we have available 10 plus. So whichever you want, select that room, or mark the circle next to it, or and then select stateroom. Once you go to the stateroom, the next page will open up. And I love this page. This is one of my favorite pages because you can do tons of things in this page. So here on the top, you can see a little ship and it has decks. You can actually move between the ship decks and take a look, see maybe maybe your client wants to look at casinos, or maybe they want to look at where the Adventure Ocean is. So this is a great way to toggle between the floors and see where they want to be. On the next box, it says Stateroom Locator. Again, we get sentimental, you know. If I've gone on a honeymoon on, let's say, Allure of the Seas, and I wanted to go back for my first anniversary and choose stateroom number maybe 9266, you simply put the room locator, you put the room number in the stateroom locator, and it will pull it up for you. Of course, if it's a different category than the one you've selected, which you see here, this is our selection, you'll have to go back and change the category or select just a new category. And here on the bottom, this is what I call my magic box. And there's a reason why I call it a magic box. And I'm going to come back to this in a minute because this is one of my favorite tools in cruising power and espresso. So let me hold on the thought and I'll tell you everything about this magic box. Just give me a few minutes. So let me continue with the stateroom selection. So here we need to select a stateroom. You can see that we have selected the H5, but you can't see any staterooms that are available in the screen. So you scroll down, you can see that you have rooms here, and some of them have triangles, which means that they can accommodate 3. Some of them have the handicap or the wheelchair, and then you have the star, which is for 4. You have the arrows, that means connecting room, and you have the 5+. But again, because we selected a room for 2, the 5+ will not be available for us. So here we have 4 staterooms that we're allowed to select from. You can view detail to see more, or you can select. Once you select the room, it's going to give you here the detail. So you see it's number 14691, it's deck 14, and that same category is available on deck 14, 12, 11, 10, and so on. Now, if you don't like this, simply click on the trash can and continue, or you need to proceed to guest detail. So let's go back to the magic box. Again, this is my favorite tool, and I'm sure it's going to be your favorite tool too. Here, let's say we have friends traveling, and my best friend is traveling, I don't know, pick a room, is traveling in room 14, maybe 212. So you can put the room number here and select whether you want connecting or accessible room or whatever you need. And then you're going to click on this little arrow here. Look at what happens. The deck plan will pop up with so many different colors that it will show you all the categories that are available that are close to the room that I put in. So here you have the green, you have the aqua, and you have the orange color, the rusty color. All you have to do is select that color. So once you select the color, it will give you the option to either view detail or add a room. If you select add room, what will happen on the very top, you can see you have another box that opens up with the new stateroom number. Because here's the thing, you can't change categories from here, but you can select other rooms to join you. So how fun is that? Moving on, let's say you select, you're happy with your selection. Make sure you click on the box on top, otherwise you'll be working on the second stateroom. So make sure that you actually click on the first one to go back to it and then proceed to guest detail. Here we are. You're almost done. So this is super easy. So here, guest detail, the important things. We need name, date of birth, citizenship. You need to make sure that when you're talking to the guests, it's the travel or the name as it appears in their legal travel documents that they're carrying with them. Then, where would they like to eat? You can see here you have another chance of adding the promo code or information or adding a guest, but again, you have to add dining. And, the question is not why are we booking dining so early? The question is going to be, will they have space to eat when they get on the ship? So we need to select the dining. You can select early dining, late dining, or the flexible dining. And then, of course, for 1 and 2. And when you scroll down the page, there's a bit more information to fill. You want to make sure the bedding configuration is okay. If it's a couple on their honeymoon, make sure that the beds are together. Otherwise, they might be apart when they get to the room, and that would not be a good experience for them. And the most important thing here, we need their mobile number and their email. So just in case we need to reach them right before their cruise, the information is there and you simply can call them and update them. And of course, if you scroll down a bit more, you can always add travel protection. And once you add travel protection, uh, review and book. And booking a regular reservation is that simple. So now you're on the review page. Here, as you can see, you have all the details on the left-hand side. You have the stateroom, you have what it is, the pricing at a glance. You can see the names, first and last name. Just make sure Bugs Bunny spells his name or you spelled his name correctly. And you have olive oil here. I know I'm old school, so I like my old cartoons. And you'll be able to see the agency commission here on the bottom. And once you do that, you're going to click on I confirm that I read the information, and you'll finish it. And you're done with the booking. So you've got a booking. You've created your first booking. I want you to look at this. The reservation is in blue, which means it's a hyperlink. If you click on that, it will take you to the reservation summary. The next thing you'll see is your details, what the itinerary is, what you've booked, and all the good stuff. On the bottom, it tells you can retrieve another reservation, start another reservation from the same sailing, or start a new reservation that has nothing to do with the sailing. Send confirmation, and I wanted to show you the send confirmation. Here, it pops up the reservation ID, and it gives you the option to put either agent or guest and send the email. So of course, if you're going to send it to the guest, make sure you have the guest email to send it to. Of course, your copy will have your commission. Guest copy will have no commission. So just make sure you don't make a mistake and send them the wrong copy. Otherwise, you might get some of them upset. Now, if you wanted at this stage to make a payment, you simply click on make a payment. It will pop up this new page, and the new page will have, you can enter the credit card information and you're done. This is so easy to do. Now, taking your attention to the word offered here. And the reason I wanted to point out offered is, we often forget that when you send a confirmation and the booking has no money on it, then it becomes a hold, a courtesy hold. Of course, the courtesy hold has rules, depending on how far away you are from the final sale date. It could be for 5 days, it could be for 24 hours. So those rules, please, check with your sales partner and they'll be able to tell you exactly what they are, but we can't change them. The system will automatically create them for you. And that is it for the creating a booking. Now, let's go to groups because I want you to know how to book a group shell. It's super easy. You go back to Cruising Power or back to the Espresso button, and you go into the second button, which is Start a Group. Now, once you start a group again, the process is very, very similar. They're almost identical, except with the group, we're creating the shell. It's almost like having the house to put all the rooms in. With the staterooms, you're creating the individual rooms and naming them. So that's the only difference. So here, in terms of the group, I called it legendary because, why not? And, there's some TV shows that I love, so legendary is just referring to that. If you look at here, it says group type and policy type. Now we have, and here it says headquarter group. This one you're not going to touch because those are different contracts, and you're not dealing with headquarter groups. You're dealing with either a affinity group or a promotional group. Now, what's the difference? An affinity group is a group of people traveling together as friends. So let's say you have a wedding or you have a reunion. That would be an affinity group because everybody knows everyone. If you do a promotional group, that means the odds are nobody knows anyone. Maybe one room or two rooms know each other, but the others don't know each other. And you have to decide what the policy type is. Now, if you know, so the minimum number of staterooms you can create a group is 8. If you create a non-deposit group, which does not require any money down, the maximum you can do is 16. If you're going to do anything more than 16, so let's say you have 50 staterooms, it will have to be a deposit group. And in that case, there's a $50 deposit per stateroom, and that's fully refundable. So moving on, we've created the group shell, and we need to fill the information. Again, here the process is the same thing as the FIT reservation. You have to put the brand and ship, which one do you want to go on, where you're going, the departure, port of call, date and duration, exactly the same thing that we talked about earlier. Again, you pick from the white numbers to make sure that you're going on, you get the sailing date that you want. And we're going to create the group shell with double occupancy. If you create anything that's more than 2 or under 2, let's say you create a solo occupancy, the easiest way to do it is to create it as a regular booking and then add it to the group shell. That would be the easiest way to do it. And of course, you have the currency on the bottom. Once you complete that, click on the search button. Again, you got exactly the same sheet where it shows you the sailing availability. And here again, you can change anything on the left-hand side. You can change occupancy. You can change all the details on the left-hand side to get different results and move on. And again, you have the hyperlinks. The hyperlinks, you click on them and you'll get more information about the ship, about the promotion, and what the starting price is. Again, here we did the same thing, selected 3 ships or 3 sailings to compare. And once I know I have 3 sailings, clicked compare on the bottom. Voila, I have this beautiful comparison between 3 ships. And of course, we want to decide which one to book. Again, it's important to make sure that we have dining place or dining space for everyone. So make sure that you have all this information handy, available, and that you read through it to see what's going on. And once you pick the sailing that you want, select sailing. Again, exactly the same process. And we got to the categories page, which is, again, identical to the FIT booking. Here, again, you can look at the information. If you don't like it, you can go back and modify search or edit group detail here. So you'll be able to toggle between the sailings. Again, those are the same itinerary, different dates. And you'll be able to make sure to select the category that you want your group to be in and check the statuses, whether you want them in available or all statuses, however you want to do it. Here again, you have the opportunity to add accessible and connecting staterooms. Now, with this one, this is slightly different because we have to select what category we want the stateroom in. When you're doing the FIT booking, you're selecting the stateroom. Here, we want to guess. So we're going to make a guess that, oh, maybe I have half the people are going to want a balcony, half the people are going to want something else. So here, you make sure, when you scroll to availability. Of course, not all, you can see here, not all staterooms are available for groups because those are standard prices. And you scroll down and you have to find what's available. Once you find something that has availability, so for example, this is 10 plus, you're going to put the number here in this box and press add. Now, what you're trying to achieve at this stage is to have the tally of the numbers correct. So if you have 8 staterooms, you should be adding 8 staterooms here. Otherwise, this is going to be off and it won't let you move forward. So if you have it off, the wrong numbers, the system will tell you that there's an error and you have to go back and fix it. So here, went back, of course, I fixed it. And the next thing you need to do is to do the group detail. Of course, we don't have a guest detail because we don't have guests yet. We're assuming whoever is on the ship is going to, some of them are going to want early dining, some of them are going to get late dining, and don't worry about it. We always can change it later on. Of course, it depends on availability, but most of the time people get what they want, unless it's Christmas or New Year, and when they have a wait list, that's when it becomes problematic. Otherwise, you'll be able to adjust this later on. Of course, here we have 8 staterooms. 8 stateroom, that's 16 people, and we need to make sure that they have a place to eat. So select this and continue on, review and book. And this is a very simple process. When you review your booking detail, you can see here, you can edit the group detail. You can look at your commission if you have a commission. And then you can, if you wanted more detail, here it gives you, for example, I've picked 2J, 4 2J, and 4 4V. So it's showing me that I have 4 and 4 from each room. And that is, it's as simple as that. And it shows you how many complimentary berths. So for 8, you're supposed to get 1 complimentary, but that is between you and the company and however it's dealt with. So you've got the group shell. Again, this page is very, very similar to the group, to the single booking. And you can see that there is, the hyperlinked booking ID. You have the make payment information, and all the good stuff is on one page. And of course, you have the total price and the deposit amount per stateroom in case you wanted to collect payments and so on. Now, we're almost getting to the end, and I wanted to show you something very, very good to refer to, so it would make your life easier in the future. Here I'm comparing the reservation summary on a regular booking and the reservation summary on a group shell. So you can see them here next to each other. They're very similar. When you get to the reservation summary, I'm going to call the left column here and the left column here as your best friend. So whenever you need to change a stateroom, add or change detail, or take payment, send an invoice, you always go back to your best friend. So here, for example, on the top, this is for the fit and this is for the group shell. You can see reservation summary, itinerary, group summary, itinerary. It's exactly the same thing. Sailing availability. You needed to change categories, go to category. You need to reprice, you go to category. You need a stateroom, go to stateroom. You want to see the group details, you go to, group detail on the right-hand side. So it's very, very easy to add stuff. And, if you wanted to add special services, the special services are for birthdays or, flight finder is on the left-hand side. So all the information is here. So if you wanted to make adjustment, you can always do it at the individual reservation level. So let's say this person is traveling in this group, you can take the payment on the individual reservation level. If you do it at the group level, you'll have to allocate it, and there's a pop-up that will pop up for you that says, okay, would you like to allocate this now? And here, look at, there's 3 places, 2 places on the group side and one place on the individual booking side where you can transfer the reservation into the group. So here, when you add individual reservation on the first one on the very top, this will add the reservation into the group directly. So this is helpful when you have rooms for two. But if you have rooms for 4 and 5, because we don't add them to the group shell, we're going to add them into the group. You just click on transfer reservation to the group, basically add it into this. It's very easy to do, and all the information is right there. Okay, so we're at the end. Amanda, do you have any questions for me, or
Perfect.
does
Yeah.
anyone have questions?
Yeah, the travel agents do have some questions.
Fantastic.
One of the first questions is, how do you compare Royal Caribbean with Celebrity in the engine?
So the 3-page comparison, that would be the easiest way to compare it. Otherwise, open two windows.
Perfect. Easy. Where can I find what codes mean? I don't.
What do you mean?
I'm trying to, sorry, decipher. I think you typed that
Okay.
word wrong. You have a legend.
Okay.
Where can I find those code? Where can I find what codes mean? Maybe do you have like a place where you have all the codes they're asking?
Okay. So if you go to Cruising Power, let me open up a Cruising Power page. If you give me a sec. Okay. So let's see. If you sign in to Cruising Power, let me enlarge this. Okay, so here on the left, you'll be able to explore so many things. Here we have the brand program, the sales and marketing, or look at this, we have the latte here. You can ask questions here. So you'll be able to find a lot of information but by typing what you want, and it will tell you what it is.
Perfect. That's wonderful. Thanks for showing that live.
Of course.
Next question is, do you have any certification programs that I can take?
So the only certification programs here, if you go again to Cruising Power, you have the brand programs, and there's actually training and benefits. So training and certification. And you have it for Celebrity and Royal Caribbean and Silver Seas, which is coming up soon on this. But you have them all here on the first page. Just sign up, and we do, I think, the Royal Caribbean Academy or Royal Caribbean University, it will give you classes and tests to take. So you can learn, at your own pace and look at ships and all the itineraries and all the good stuff that we have. Absolutely. And also, if you go to bookespresso.com, there's a lot of training material and there's a lot of PDFs that you can check and search for. If you scroll on the main page, look at this, there's training and certification, and there's a lot of information where you can look up and discover new things. And of course, we have discovercruisingpower.com, and this one takes you to, let's skip the video here. It takes you to training. So there's more training here and service questions. And of course, if you needed to message me directly, I'm happy to answer questions. Message me at espressotraining@rccl.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Next question is, how do I find the TA rates on Cruising Power?
So the travel agent rates, that's something between you and your company. So that it's not in Cruising Power, but you'll be able to see your commission on Cruising Power.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let me see if we have any other questions.
Of course.
Oh, next question. How do I add special requests to a booking?
So that is very easy. Let me show you live. And let's see, let me go back to Cruising Power. So special requests are actually, I love doing special requests. So here, let's say you know what booking you have, or you don't know what the booking is. Oh, this is so small. Okay. So here you have all the saved reservations. Very simple. So let me go to where is it? Allure of the Seas. Let me go into this one. Just picking up one of the bookings. So here, can you see the left? Your best friend is here. So your best friend, you can go to special services, and here it will tell you what you want to add. Maybe it's a special meal, high chair, graduation, whatever it is. You can add the date. Of course, it's a party, and just save all changes. Make sure to save all changes, otherwise it doesn't save. It will go back to nothing. And sometimes if you want to, and this is very important, when you're sending, let's say you booked an accessible stateroom, you want to send them the special needs form, and that's under invoice. So you go to booking invoice and you can select what form to send and just send invoice or continue, and it will send the invoice for them or the forms.
Perfect.
Oh, one more thing. There's also, you can add a memo here. Can you see here? It says memo and add a note for us. So if there's something, my guest is deathly allergic to all types of fruit, just put it here and you can save it so that we know that there's something wrong and they need to be taken care of.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Next question is, what happens if I book out a group but aren't able to fill the whole thing? Would I transfer those over to individual bookings, or how does this work?
So I believe that we honor the prices. We don't change the prices for people, though. The only thing you're going to lose is the tour conductor credit.
Perfect. So you're still able to keep those bookings and whatnot?
I believe so. I believe so. They just don't become a room, or they don't become a group. You'll have to double check with the sales partner for that, because I'm not in sales. I'm just in the system information. But I do believe that Royal Caribbean honors all the prices for the guests. We don't change it on them. It just, we have to meet minimums for tour conductor credit. So you might lose tour conductor credit.
Perfect. What type of requirements am I provided to... Wait, let me read this again. Sorry, I think I skipped a line.
It's okay.
What type of requirements am I to provide from my client for U.S. military or forces like that?
What do you mean by requirements? What kind of requirements?
If they're booking a U.S. military member or something, are they, I believe they're asking, are they required to show a certain form of ID or their number or something? Is there something that they have to, documents they have to provide when booking?
Got you. So I'm going to tell this from memory because I used to be an agent. And normally when you're entering, we usually check at the port. They'll ask, do you have a military ID? So we always encourage them to carry the military ID. But I'll be honest, it's an honor thing.
Okay, perfect. So when they're making the booking, they can check it off and...
So check it, make sure you check it off and let them know that usually at the port, customs will check.
Okay.
Or, the customs agent, whoever is at the border, they will check.
Perfect. And they're also asking, does this apply to fire department, EMT,
Yes.
and whatnot?
That is correct.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Of course. So, and if you have an open loop sailing, of course, you have to have a passport. If you have a closed loop sailing, which is starting for, let's say, Los Angeles to Los Angeles, then they can travel with the, I think driver's license, depending on the real ID. I'm not sure nowadays. But make sure that let your guests know that they're empowered to check. Like we can give them a specific amount of information, but they need to check. It's their responsibility to check, make sure they have all their ducks in a row.
Perfect. And just every cruise supplier touches a international port, so you will need a passport. Your clients will need a passport. Some cruise lines do take birth certificates, but it's always safer to do the passport route. So just make sure your clients are ready to travel internationally when they touch that port. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Denny. Really appreciate this. This is a wonderful training on cruising power and how Espresso works and the deep dive into it. Absolutely great. And also, travel agents, thank you for all the great questions today. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week, Monday at 10 a.m. again. Jenny, is there anything else that you want to add before we close out?
No, thank you very much for being here. Again, if you have any questions, feel free. Don't be shy about sending me a message and letting me know what your question is. I'll be more than happy to answer.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much, Jenny, and thank you, travel agents. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and bye.